Okay, here we go.
Morning. Welcome or welcome back to Congregation Agudas Achim as we continue on our journey through the days of awe. Our spiritual invitation on this morning of Yom Kippur is to examine our lives with honesty. Tradition teaches us that the path to do this is through the practice of teshuvah, a return to what is most precious, what is most meaningful and sacred in our lives. When we begin to strip down the veils that separate us from the source of life, we can begin to see the divine light in ourselves and in each other. To begin this process of discernment of how we return to and engage in teshuvah, I invite us into a teaching from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who says, each one of us has a point of goodness within that is uniquely valuable. And it is with this point that enlightenment and passion emerges. Our hope, our prayer, is that we can remove the obstacles so that our point of light can be more vividly experienced and that we see each other's point of light more clearly today. That we can face the truth about who we are, about what we need, where we need to grow, what we need to repair. And we do this by starting to identify the nikuda tova, the good point that is within us. This will guide us in our teshuvah. So take a moment before we chant Elohai Neshama to reflect inward, feel your breath, and notice the gift of your soul. And try to identify a good point within you. Maybe your kindness, your generosity, your patience, your courage, your resilience, some good quality within you. Know that this good point is part of your pure soul. Page 172, Elohai Neshama.
Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahi Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahi Elohai Neshama Shenatata Bi Tehorahi.
With that pure soul connected to that good point that exists in each of us, we'll sing the final words of Psalm 150, Kol HaNeshama Tahalel Yah. Every soul, each of our pure souls, the entirety of our soul, every single one will praise Yah. Page 262.
Kol HaNeshama Tehaleluya, Hallelujah. Kol HaNeshama Tehaleluya, Hallelujah. Kol HaNeshama Tehaleluya, Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Our ancient rabbis who lived in the aftermath of the destruction of the temple, who knew an end to one kind of Judaism and helped bring forth a new kind, knew that if Judaism was going to work, if we as a people were going to not only survive but thrive, it would take all of us. They very, very creatively read and stretched the meaning of Torah to require a minyan. There's nowhere in Torah that it says you need 10 people to pray together, but they read it very creatively and required 10 of us gathered together to fully pray. Well, we are not physically together, we are digitally together, and I think even more importantly, we are spiritually together. So take a moment and remember who is in community with you. Who has welcomed you? Whom have you welcomed? Who has taught you? Whom have you taught? Who have you sung with, celebrated with, mourned with, danced with? Who are the children you have seen be welcomed into this community? Who are the people you have been in touch with during these months of pandemic? Who are the people you have meant to be in touch with? All of them, all of you, all of us are here together on this day. We rise in body or spirit for that blessing that requires all of us, the Baruch Hu, on page 278, and we'll go straight into Yotzer on the following page, page 278.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam HaPoteach Lanu Sha'arei Rachamim Umeir Ein המחכים לשליחתו. יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. אור עולם באוצר חיים, אורות מאופל, אמר ויהי.
We're taken back to that original light of creation, and we pray for a new light. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir v'nizkeh chulanu bimhera leoro. May a new light shine on Zion, and may we merit, all of us, quickly its light. May we merit, all of us. This is our prayer on Yom Kippur, that all of us strive to be a little better, to merit light, to merit insight. And with that insight, we grow a little more. Page 298, Or Chadash.
אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות.
A poem, Prayers 1, by Kadya Molodowski. Don't let me fall like a stone that drops on the hard ground, and don't let my hands become dry as the twigs of a tree when the wind beats down the last leaves, and when the storm rips dust from the earth, angry and howling. Don't let me become the last fly, trembling, terrified on a window pane. Don't let me fall. I have so much prayer, but as a blade of your grass in a distant wild field loses a seed in the lap of the earth and dies away, sow me in your living breath as you sow a seed in the earth. Page 302, we pray to be brought to peace, and then we'll go directly into the Shema, including the second line of the Shema out loud, which we only do on Yom Kippur, and we'll go directly into V'ahavta on the following page. Page 302, V'ha'er Einenu.
והאר עינינו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה ויראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת, להודות לך ויחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ולכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
We'll continue individually with biblical selection 1 or 2, and we'll come back together at the bottom of page 312. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Emet, that word of truth, begins with an aleph at the very beginning, a mem in the middle, and a taf at the end, meaning that truth holds everything. Everything is included in truth. We'll sing the words of Hashiveni, written the setting by Rabbi Micah Shapiro, praying that we are returned to truth, and so too we return.
Hashiveni ve'ashuva, Hashiveni ve'ashuva, Chadesh, 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 Yameinu kekedem. Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu kekedem.
I invite you to take a deep breath, and out, and another, and out. I invite you to close your eyes if it feels comfortable, or cast your gaze gently to the ground. Notice any sensations that might be arising in your body. Maybe the beginnings of hunger, maybe some tension in your shoulders, your jaw. And just notice and settle into this meditation on redemption. We are in a moment of fear. What we have known is now unknown. The future is uncertain and precarious. The present seems dangerous and chaotic. Hate rises up around us. Flight, fight, freeze. Who can you trust? Who are your partners? What is the way through? Behind you are those who have enslaved and oppressed your family for generations, reneging on the deal that let you go free. Before you, the salty sea, deep, dangerous, overwhelming. All around you, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your collaborators, strangers, Egyptians who have fled tyranny with you, hoping for liberation, for redemption, panicking, screaming, wailing, clawing, weeping. The mixed multitude you stand in starts to move. Trying to flee without a place to turn, you lose sight of those you marched with. You lose sight of where you came from. You lose sight of where you're going. Something. You must do something. Some people around you grab weapons. Some just stop and stare at your oppressors. Others turn to the sea, fathoming its depth. The panic subsides and despair sets in. You decide to sit down, knowing death is all around you. Others sit down by you, losing hope. The chariots are approaching, the sea is still waving. Hearts break, tears fall. This is the end, you know it. One man, you think you've seen him before. An average man by the name of Nachshon. He takes a step into the water, away from the chariots and swords and into the rushing, salty tide. He takes another step and another, the water reaching his ankles, his waist. Suddenly, people start to follow him. There are a dozen people walking into the water, their light desert clothes plastered to their bodies, their few belongings clutched tightly to their chests. The water is now at their necks. You look on incredulously. You turn around, seeing the chariots rushing closer. There is no looking back now. You feel the hot desert sand burning your uncovered feet. You decide to go with them. There is no hope behind you. There is no hope in staying in place. There is only forward. Only forward. You grab a friend's hand and take a step, and another. Soon, everyone around you is in the water, and all you can see of Nachshon, the man that took the first step, is the very top of his head. The rest submerged in water, but still he marches on. The water is at your chest. You think of the harsh labor you've been forced to do. You think of those who do not make it this far. You think this is surely the end. And suddenly the flow of water before you opens. The waters split, flying to either side. There is a muddy desert path before you. Nachshon and those in the front sputter water and gasp for air. Everything stops. The shock of the miracle, the awe, the gratitude, the fear, a moment of pure and absolute stillness. The pause is brief. You cannot stop to marvel yet. The crowd marches on joyfully, fearfully. An old woman before you reaches her hand into the wall of water that is on her left, hardly believing the sight. As she pulls her hand out, it comes with a pomegranate, a ripe, red, beautiful pomegranate. A smile comes over her face, and you can't help but smile with her. Inspired, you reach into the wall of water as well and pull out a pomegranate. Everyone has a pomegranate. Sustenance is all around you. You do not have to live on matzah alone. Pomegranates, sweet, juicy, messy pomegranates are around you if you look in unexpected places. With pomegranate juice running down your chin and through your fingers, you march on, through the mud, surrounded by masses of people seeking freedom. The chariots reach the mud and you quicken your pace. This mixed multitude you are in is most of the way to the other side. Rushing, panting, sweating, you make it through. You can hardly believe it. What just happened? Was it real? A dream? The waters, suddenly as they parted, fall onto the oppressors. Others turn away from the sight, but you look on. Your heart breaks to see more death, more suffering. You wish there had been another way. A moment of silence. Your people feel the undercurrent of joy in their freedom, but take a moment to acknowledge the death of their pursuers. And then you hear a woman's voice. It's your friend Miriam. She starts a song of praise and gratitude. She and many of the women have drums with them and start a circle dance. Drums, you think to yourself? Who would have brought drums with them into the wilderness? You are incredulous, judgmental. You are practical. You brought food and clothes and tools. Then you realize the wisdom of these women. They knew we would be free. They knew we would need to celebrate. They brought drums because joy, music, and dance are not luxuries. They are essential. We need them like we need food, clothes, and tools. You are grateful these women brought their drums. You join in, you rejoice, you sing, you dance. You are awestruck by the celebration. You are awestruck by your community. You are awestruck by the miracle. You feel the pomegranate juice, now dried and sticky on your chin. Nothing could feel better. You are free. Sing Ozi v'zimratia.
Ozi v'zimratia vayehi li lishua. Ozi v'zimratia vayehi li lishua. Ozi v'zimratia vayehi li lishua. Ozi v'zimratia vayehi li lishua.
From the song of the sea, the song of crossing onto dry land, it is through strength and song that we walk forward into the uncertainty that freedom brings, the uncertainty of a life precarious. Unetana Tokef asks the question that is too crude to ask in the absence of ritual. Who will live and who will die? It doesn't ask why. It affirms that these are questions we cannot answer ourselves, even in community. None of us can know the future. None of us can know the reason why. We affirm our commitment to living through this uncertainty, without rhyme or reason or justice for so many deaths. For now, we simply acknowledge that we don't know. We rise in body or spirit as the ark is open on page 348.
Unetanet Tokev Kedushat Hayom Ki hu nora v'hayom Uvo tinaseh malchutecha Ve'ikon b'chesed kisecha ותשב עליו באמת, ותשב עליו באמת, אמת, כי אתה הודיין ומוכיח, וחותם וסופר ומונה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומאליו יקרב אותם יד כל אדם בו, ובשופר גדול ייתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפזון, וחילות הדר יאחזון, ומלאכים יחפזון, וחילות הדר יאחזון.
Behold, the day of judgment has arrived, when even those in heaven's court are judged, for none can be exempt from justice's eyes. And all who come into the world pass before you like sheep for the shepherd. For just as a shepherd numbers the flock, passing the herd by the staff, so do you make us pass before you and number and count, and determine the life one by one of all who have life breath within. You decide for each creature its cycles of life, and you write down its destined decree.
בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייחתמון. כמה יעבורון וכמה ייפרעון, מי יחיה ומי ימות, מי בקיצור ומי לא בקיצור, מי באש ומי במים, מי בחרב ומי בחיה, מי ברעב ומי בצמא, מי ברעש ומי במגפה, מי בחניקה ומי בסקילה, מי ינוח ומי ינוח, מי ישקיט ומי יטורף, מי ישלב ומי יתייסר, מי יעני ומי יהיה עשיר, מי יושפל ומי ירום. ותשובה ותפילה וצדקה מעבירין את רוע הגזל.
teshuvah, repentance, and tefillah, prayer, and tzedakah, righteous giving, make easier what God made to create. Make easier what life holds in store. Make easier facing the world. Make easier facing ourselves. We continue with Kaddish Tit Kabal, a prayer that these prayers be received with compassion, on page 462.
יגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בחמד יברח ירתיו ימלך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, וכידךו בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם ימיה, יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו. לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירם בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תקבל צאתכון ובאותכון לכל בית ישראל, קדם אבוכון דבשמיא, ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
With our prayers received, we turn now to Torah. As I've mentioned to some of you, since Shelter in Place started back in March, I've been part of a daily Mishnah learning group with an organization called Svara that has been studying Pirkei Avot, a collection of wisdom teachings, very slowly for the past 6 months for about a half hour at a time. I don't make it quite every day, but this past Friday, rabbinical student Noah Westreich taught this piece of the Mishnah. It says, 10 who sit and occupy themselves with Torah, the Shekhinah, the divine presence dwells among them. One of the things I was struck by in looking at this text is that there's nothing about being physically together for this to be true. If 10 sit and study Torah, the divine presence is with them, is with us. We're not physically present, sitting and learning together, but we are much more than 10 people occupying ourselves with Torah. I invite you to notice the Shekhinah in our diasporic midst. We'll hear Torah blessings and reading now.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach li'olam vo'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher karvanu lavodato, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem, Rashechem, Shivtechem, Ziknechem, V'shotrechem, Kol ish Yisrael. Tapchem nishechem, v'gercha, asher bekerev machanecha, mechotei vetzecha, ad shoev meimecha, la'avrecha, bivrit, Adonai Elohecha, uv'alato, asher Adonai Elohecha koret imcha hayom.
Ma'an hakimotcha hayom le'olam vehu yehilecha le'elohim kasher diber lach v'kasher nishba la'avotecha l'Avraham li'Yitzchak u'Yaakov v'lo itchem levadchem anochi koret et habrit hazot v'et halah hazot Ki et asher ishna po imanu omed hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu ve'et asher einenu po imanu hayom.
Ki atem v'yadatem et asher yishvanu be'eretz Mitzrayim v'et asher avarnu be'kerev hagoyim asher avartem.
Vatiru et shikutzehem v'et gilulehem et zvehem kesef v'zahav asher imachem pen yesh bachem Isha, Mishpacha, Shevet, Asher, Levavo, Panei Hayom Ein, Adonai Eloheinu, Lalechet lavot et Elohei hagoyim hahem pen yesh bachem shoresh porei rosh v'lahana Adonai B'shamo et divrei halah hazot v'hitvarek bilavavo lamor shalom yeli ki Bishri root libi eleh liman sifot harava et hatzmeah.
Lo Yoveh Adonai solach lo ki az yeshanach Adonai v'kina tov ba'ishahu v'ravtza bo kol ahala haktuva b'sefer hazeh Umacha Adonai et shemo mitachat hashamayim.
V'hivdilo Adonai lira'ah mikol shivtei Yisrael kekol alot habrit Haktuvah b'sefer haTorah hazeh.
Ve'amar hador ha'acharon Penechem asher yakumu me'acharechem V'chanachri אשר יבוא מארץ רחוקה, וראו את מחות הארץ ההיב, ואת תחלואיך אשר חילה אדוני בך, גפרית ומלח, שרפה כל ארצה, לא תזרע ולא תצמיחה, ולא יעלה בה כל עשב, כמפחת סדום ועמורה, אדמה וצבויים, אשר חפך אדוני באפו ובהמתו. ואמרו כל הגויים, על מה עשה אדוני כחת לארץ הזאת, מהריץ האף הגדול הזה.
ואמרו על אשר עזבו את ברית אדוני אלוהי אבותם, אשר כרת עמם בהוציאו אותם מארץ מצרים, וילכו ויעבדו אלוהים אחרים, וישתחוו להם, אלוהים אשר לא ידעום ולא חלק להם. ויחרף אדוני בארץ ההיא, להביא עליה את כל הקללה הכתובה בספר הזה. ויתשם אדוני מעל אדמתם, באף ובחמה ובקצף גדול, וישליכם אל ארץ אחרת כיום הזה.
הנסתרות לאדוני אלוהינו, והנגלות לנו ולבנינו עד עולם, לעשות את כל דברי התורה הזאת.
כי יבואו עליך כל הדברים האלה, הברכה והקללה אשר נתתי לפניך, והשב אותה אל לבבך בכל הגויים אשר הדיחך אדוני אלוהיך שמה. ושבת עד אדוני אלוהיך, ושמעת בקולו ככל אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, את ובניך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך. ושב אדוני אלוהיך את ובניך וריש חמך, ושב וקיבצך מכל המים אשר חפיצך אדוני אלוהיך שמה אם יהיה נדיחך בקצה השמים משם יקבצך אדוני אלוהיך ומשם ייקחך והביאך אדוני אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר ירשו אבותיך וירשת והבטיח והרבך מאבותיך ומל אדוני אלוהיך את לבבך ואת לבב זרעך לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך למען חייך.
ונתן אדוני אלוהיך את כל העלות האלה על אויביך ועל שנאיך אשר רדפוך, ואתה תשוב ושמעת בקול אדוני, ועשית את כל מצוותיו אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, והותירך אדוני אלוהיך בכל מעשה ידיך, בפרי בנך ובפרי בחמתך ובפרי אדמתך לטובה, כי ישוב אדוני לסוס אליך לטוב, כאשר שש על אבותיך, כי תשמע בקול אדוני אלוהיך, לשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו הכתובה בספר התורה הזה, כי תשוב אל אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך.
כי המצוות הזאת אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, לא נפלאת היא ממך ולא רחוקה היא, לא בשמיים היא לאמור. מי יעלה לנו השמיימה ויקחך לנו, וישמיענו אותך ונעשנה, ולא מעבר לים היא לאמור. מי יעבור לנו אל עבר הים ויקחך לנו, וישמיענו אותך ונעשנה, כי קרוב אליך הדבר מאוד, בפיך ובלבבך לעשותו.
ראה נתתי לפניך היום את החיים ואת הטוב, ואת המוות ואת הרע, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, ללכת בדרכיו ולשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו ומשפטיו, וחיית ורבית Uverechecha Adonai Elohecha ba'aretz asher ata v'shama l'rishta. Ve'im yifnei levavecha ve'lo tishma v'nidachta v'hishtachavita le'elohim acherim va'avadtam. Higadati lachem hayom ki avod tovedun lo ta'arichun yamim al ha'adama asher ata over et hayarden lavo shama l'rishta. He'idoti vachem hayom et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz Chachayim v'chamavet natati lefanecha habracha v'haklala uverachta b'chayim lema'an tehiyeh ata v'zarecha le'ahava et Adonai Elohecha lishmoa b'kolo u'davkavo ki hu chayecha ve'orech yamecha Lashevet al ha'adama asher nishba Adonai la'avotecha le'Avraham v'Yitzchak u'Yaakov latet lachem.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher notan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nota betochenu. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
You stand this day, all of you, before the Holy One, your God. Your tribal heads, your elders, and your officials, all the men of Israel, your children, your wives, even the stranger within your camp, from woodchopper to water drawer, to enter into the covenant of the Holy One, your God, which the Holy One, your God, is concluding with you this day. These are the opening words of the Torah reading we just heard. A beautiful vision. The entire community all standing before the Holy One, from woodchoppers to tribal heads, regardless of social status, we stand equally before God, equally a part of this covenant. It's a beautiful vision of equality and inclusion, values that I know are important to us, to you, to Agudas Achim. As the congregation has evolved these 100 plus years ago, over these 100 plus years, it's become egalitarian, reconstructionist. It's welcomed interfaith families, women and queer people, Jews of color. Most recently, our very first non-binary bar mitzvah, neither a bar mitzvah nor a bat mitzvah, but a bar mitzvah. In many ways, Agudas Achim is doing the work of living out this vision from our Torah reading. We all stand equally before God and tradition. And we know this work is not easy. Difference, while being a source of celebration and enrichment for all of us, is also one of the most troubling social and theological questions of our day. Our country is deeply, deeply divided around questions of difference. COVID has laid bare how some of these differences play out, with its disproportionate impact on elders, on people without access to healthcare, to women who work in the service industry, though men are more likely to die from it. The difference of political opinions has grown so hot and intense that the idea of wearing masks to keep ourselves and each other safe became politicized. Police violence disproportionately ending the lives of Black and brown people in this country. Anti-Semitic myths, lies, and slurs come from politicians, activists, and conspiracy theorists alike. Black Lives Matter, in the eyes of some, is the most hopeful social movement of our time. In the eyes of others, it is an anti-Semitic terrorist group. The news we read is considered conspiracy theories by others, and the conspiracy theories we read are considered news in the eyes of others. North and South, red and blue, Democrat and Republican, black and white, straight and queer, religious and secular, trans and cis. Our nation is breaking apart. Not because of difference, but because of our approach to difference. Our nation is rupturing. Today, I'm not interested in pointing fingers at who is most to blame for this problem. You all can, and I hope do, make those calls with your voting ballots. But today, the only finger I want us to engage in is the finger we point at ourselves. That's what Yom Kippur is about. To look in the mirror and ask, where have I contributed to this rupture? What difference is hardest for me to tolerate? And no, of course, it's not all the same, and some people's intolerance leads to death, and some people's leads to annoyance. That's not the point right now. The point is to look inward and ask, what difference is hardest for me to tolerate? In Jewish tradition, there's a bracha that one is supposed to say upon seeing a strange or unusual person. Baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam mishaneh habriot. Blessed are you, the Creator, our God, sovereign of the world, diversifying living things. When I first learned this bracha, I was initially put off, thinking it was judgmental to see someone as strange or unusual in this way. But then I realized this bracha actually has the opposite effect. When we look at someone who, in our subjective experience, through our personal view of the world, and we see someone strange and unusual, to us, this bracha comes along and says, this difference is God-given. This difference is divine. This difference is sacred. This bracha is meant to cultivate a disposition within us, a disposition that is non-judgmental, a disposition that appreciates the holiness in those who are different from us. This bracha exists because our ancient rabbis knew that we would need it, that difference would be a societal problem for thousands of years. The rabbis knew this when they taught in Mishnah Sanhedrin that the Holy Blessed One stamped each person with the seal of the first human, but not one of them, not one of us, is like anyone else. This line from the Mishnah teaches us two fundamental truths about who we are as human beings. The first is that we are all different. The text says, "Ein echad mehem domeh lechavero." There is not one of them who is similar to another one, not one. This text lists the description of God's work of making us all different as a reason to praise God. We thank you for making us different, God. What an incredible blessing it is to be formed with different bodies and genders and races and worldviews, to express these divine images that God has blessed us with each and every day. Our difference is a blessing. The second truth that we learn from this part of the text is that we all come from the same divine source. Not only are we all created by God, but we are created from that same seal, Chotamo shel Adam Harishon, the seal of the first human. We are linked back and divinely formed with the very seal that God used to create the first human. We, you and I, and everyone on Zoom today and not on Zoom today, is divinely connected by this one chotam, this one seal that God used to create the first human. We are linked to each other, linked to the first human and linked to God. We are divinely similar in this way. This truth, both of our difference and of our similarity, are truths that we hold simultaneously. It is not that we are either different or the same, but we are always both. We are always different and the same. The seal of God is a powerful one, shaping this paradox within each of us. The Mishnah continues with the contrasting example by thinking about the seals that we as people use. It says, for a human mints many coins with one seal, and all of them are like each other. We are not coins. We are not identical to each other, and it is that precise thing that makes us holy. It is our difference that makes us sacred. The Mishnah continues, therefore, each and every one is required to say, "For me, the world was created." It is because God has made us both divinely different and divinely similar that we say, "For me, the world was created." This is the theology we are trying to hold, that our similarities are sacred and so are our differences. If we are able to hold these truths, practice them in our own community, when we disagree, when someone is different from us, when we don't understand someone, then we will have the power to change the way our world handles difference. But for today, we start with ourselves. Just us, just you, just me, blessing the differences between us because they are sacred. We are aiming to cultivate an appreciation of those differences rather than fear or judgment. So I want to invite you now, wherever you are, to take on the obligation of this Mishnah and to say the words, "For me, the world was created." Go ahead, say it out loud. For me, the world was created. Don't be shy. For me, this world was created. Unless you think this is a statement of utter arrogance and narcissism, remember how many other people just said it. The world was created for me, and the world was created for you, and the world was created for everyone I disagree with and everyone I cannot stand. Our task is to remember that we are not the only ones that the world exists for. And in those moments that we think difference is dangerous or inferior, we have a bracha to remind us, to ground us in the truth that difference is sacred. Blessed are you, the Creator, source of life, diversifying living things. This year, may we grow in our appreciation of difference. May we remember that difference is holy and God-given, and that for each and every one of us, the world was created. And then, may we all be sealed in the book of good life. Now a prayer for our country, recorded by a special guest previously in 2013 at a bar mitzvah at Congregation Beth El in Bethesda, Maryland, a congregation that generously made this recording available to congregations across the country.
But we're also honored to have with us to offer the prayer for the country, one of its #1 top citizens, who's done so much for the well-being of our country, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Justice Ginsburg is the great aunt of our bar mitzvah, and since we want to keep the spotlight on the bar mitzvah, she's agreed that I only should say that it's our honor that you're with us today, and we look forward to seeing you back here for Jordan's bar mitzvah. Prayer for the country, page 148.
Our God and God of our forebears, we ask your blessing for our country, for its government, for its leaders, advisors, judges, and all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights from your Torah, that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony to banish hatred and bigotry and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions that are the pride and glory of our country. May this land under your providence be an influence for good throughout the world promoting among all nations and people peace and freedom, helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say, Amen. Amen.
Zecher tzadika livracha. May the memory of the righteous be for a blessing, someone who knew that difference was sacred and made that a part of her work as a judge. We'll pause now to pray for healing. This week we hold in our hearts Mildred Tulin, Pat Gill, Glenn Swass, Angelina Swass, Beatrice Thomas, Benjamin Lev Ben Etel, Stephen Marcus, Rana Lewis, Stephanie Campbell, Harriet Stoloff, Kel Hill, Jessica Hill, Tanya McDonald, Taryn Deegan, Ed and Elaine Carlin, Donna Cohen Avery, Shmuel Ben Evelyn, Arlene Schulman, Kevin Thompson, Stuart Skirker, Adam Brady, Lavana Batsara Mazel, Robert Goldie, Katie Tahan, Matt Heist, Carol Sachs, Yaakov Ben Abraham, Shana Bat Yitzchak, Grace Schneider, Max Volterra, David Schneider, Heather Porter, Nadine Wilson, Eileen Kravitz, Stephen Barron, Russell Woodworth, John Raposo, Baruch Amitai Ben Sarah. Saita Misha Berach now.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
As we move to close our Torah service, we'll hear our community recorded singing Eitz Chaim Hi, which concludes with the line, Deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom. All of Torah's ways are ways of pleasantness, and all of its paths are peace. If Torah is not bringing pleasantness and peace into the world, then we are not learning or practicing it properly. May all of our engagement with Torah increase the pleasantness and peace in this world. Page 606.
Eitz Chaim Hi, L'machazikim ba, V'tomchecha me'ushar, Derachecha, darchei noam, V'chol netivotecha shalom.
We move now into our vidui, our time of collective confession. That word vidui is related to the word modeh, which we say modeh ani lefanecha. I recognize or give thanks before you. It's a confession, but really it's just a recognition. It's a naming. That's all we're doing. We're naming the things that we have done, intentionally, unintentionally, known and unknown. And we do that in love and community, which is able to hold us through that. We begin our confession standing in body or spirit with dignity and with the humility that leads us to confess, to acknowledge. Page 960.
Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Evinu, Vehirshanu, Zarnu, Hamasnu, Tafanu Shakir, Ya'atsnura, Kizavnu, Lahatsnu, Maradnu, Niyatsnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Tsararnu, Kishinu Orif, Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tavnu, Tainu, Titanu.
Take a moment now and hold in your heart one moment from the year when you did not act from your best parts. Whatever it is, take that moment and offer it up to the God of forgiveness. Page 965.
Ve'al kulam Eloah selichot selach lanu mechal lanu ka'per lachanu.
And for them all, God of forgiveness, please forgive us, pardon us, help us atone. Concluding our confessional, we'll chant Avinu Malkeinu with the desire for compassion and loving kindness. Our Father, our King, two figures not always associated with compassion, but with power. We implore God through this metaphor, and not shepherd or teacher or water, because we are asking for the ultimate compassion, the strongest, most powerful compassion, that even our King shows compassion. Page 1183, Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have done wrong in your presence. Avinu Malkeinu, we have no one to rule over us but you. Avinu Malkeinu, help us for the honor of your name. Avinu Malkeinu, remove for us a good year. Avinu Malkeinu, nullify the plans of any who may seek to do us harm. Avinu Malkeinu, grant forgiveness and atonement for all our transgressions. Avinu Malkeinu, help us to return wholeheartedly into your presence. Avinu Malkeinu, send thorough healing to all those who ail. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for good fortune in the book of life. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and salvation. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of sustenance and livelihood. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of merit. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of forgiveness and atonement. Avinu Malkeinu, let grow for us the tree of imminent redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, remember us though we are made of dust. Avinu Malkeinu, be merciful to us and to all our offspring. Avinu Malkeinu, act in memory of all those who have been killed while honoring your name. Avinu Malkeinu, act in honor of your great and mighty awe-inspiring name, which has been called out of us for our protection. Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious with us and respond to us, for we have no deeds to justify us. Deal with us in righteousness and love, and save us now. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu v'aneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu v'aneinu, ki ein banu ma'asim. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed. Asei imanu, tzedakah v'chesed, ve'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu.
Take a moment now to receive the priestly blessing, that ancient blessing from the book of Numbers. The blessing asking for grace, asking for presence, and asking for peace. Page 980, I invite you to respond with Ken Yehi Ratzon with me.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'choneka.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Ken Yehi Ratzon. A few brief announcements as we wrap up. Yizkor, our memorial service, will begin at noon. There's an Ashkenazi custom not to attend Yizkor if both your parents are still living. Sephardic Jews have no such custom. You do what's right for you in this year of loss and grief. We'll have Torah study at 1:30 and a meditative mincha, the afternoon service, at 3:30. Other things to follow, it's all in your email. In the meantime, we'll conclude our service on page 1002 with Hayom, today. Today, strengthen us. Today, bless us. Today, forgive all of our iniquities. Page 1002.
Hayom, 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 hayom teyam seinu, amen, hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, 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 hayom tevarchenu, amen. Hayom, 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 hayom. Hayom, 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 hayom tekadlenu, amen. Hayom, 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 hayom. Hayom, 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 tidrashenu letova, amen. Hayom, 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 hayom. Hayom, tikdevenu l'chaim tovim, amen. Hayom, 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 tishma shabbatenu, amen. Hayom, 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 tikabel berachamim uvrachatzon et tefillatenu, amen. Hayom, 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 titmachenu b'mitzikecha, amen. Hayom, 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 timchov et tislach l'kol avotenu, amen.
Amen, 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 amen. Gemar Chatima Tova, a good sealing for us all. We'll conclude this service with the music of our choir that has been accompanying us through these holidays. Achat sha'alti, just one thing I ask.
Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Shivti beveit Adonai Shivti beveit Adonai, kol yemei chayai. Lachazot benoam Adonai, uvaker beheichalo. Lachazot benoam
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hello? Say hello. Say something.
Hello, hello. Testing. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Good.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I didn't hear my voice.
Ahava berachamim chesed v'shalom ahava verachamim chesed v'shalom.
Love and compassion, loving kindness and peace. That's what we pray for during Yizkor, our memorial service. Yizkor as a practice emerged in Jewish tradition in the 12th century as a way to honor those who died during the Crusades. People who died from hateful violence that targeted Jews, also Muslims, in times of economic crisis. Over time, Yizkor grew to include not only martyrs, but all of those that we have lost. Our tradition evolves as we develop new ways to meet our spiritual needs. This year of tremendous loss, we pause to remember both who have died because of COVID, police violence, or fires on the West Coast, and also the regular, everyday, intimate deaths, the cancer, the heart attacks, aging, all the terrible, normal ways that people leave this world. Since you are at home, I invite you to get an object or objects that remind you of those you are remembering today. Maybe a photo, a sweater, a baking dish, something that holds the memory of your loved ones. Hold it close. Let it bring you comfort as their memories are bound up in the bonds of your life. We'll begin Yizkor with the reading of the names of the Golden Book, those names of members of our congregation and their family members who have died. I want to invite Aaron Weintraub to read the first third of the Golden Book. We'll sing before and after each reader, praying that their memories be held with love, compassion, kindness, and peace.
Ahava verachamim chesed v'shalom.
Shana Faga Bat Malka Ruth Veruvain Abadan. Hesa Chaya Bat Yitzchak Rachel Algava. Hannah Sema Allen. J. Allen. Bela Bat Shmerel Elmer. Yona Ben Shmuel Elmer. Esther Leah Bat Yona Elmer. Shmuel Ben Shlomo Elmer. Miles Alper. Minnie Alpert. Devora Bat Shlomo Altman. Shraga Ben Zev Altman. Yitzchak Ben Shraga Altman. Esther Andelman. Yitzchak Ben Yaakov Andelman. Joseph Baker. Lillian Baker. Shlomo Zalman Ben Ephraim Baker. Akiva Ben Avraham Barkham. Benjamin Barron. Beatrice Barron. Edward Bean. Mordechai Ben Shlomo Bean. Sadie Bean. Alexander Bell. Judith Deborah Ben Harris. Dora Bender. Ittel Ben Moshe Bender. Julia Benjamin. Matisse Yahu Ben Arya Lieb Benjamin, Walter Benjamin, Mendel Ben Yehoshua Yosef Bennett, Harry Berenson, Catherine Berenson, Moshe Ben Yaakov Tzvi Hirsch Berman, Mordechai Yoel Ben Eliyahu Bernstein, Jane Blumenthal, Harriet Bogart, Lena Bodfin, Malka Brady, Morris Brady, Rose Brady, Zipporah Sarah Bat Edel Vitzvi Brady, Eliyahu Menachem Verivka Bressler, Minna Brodsky, Esther Malka Bat Mordechai Broomfield, Israel Broomfield, Mammy Brothman, Rachmiel Brochman, Yitzchak Ben Mendel Yeshayahu Breinen, Basha Riva Bat Yisrael Bayer, Basha Bat Avraham Bayer, Shimon Ben Yaakov Bayer, Moshe Ben Yisrael Canner, Yaakov Ben Nachum Serel, Eva Heifetz, Kalman Heifetz, Aharon Moshe Ben Vavel Chernik, Masha Devora Bat Avraham Yitzchak Chesler, Arya Lieb Ben Avram David Chesler, Annie Cohen, Fanny Cohen, Francis Cohen, Israel Cohen, Yaakov Yosef Ben Avraham Cohen, Max Cohen, Samuel Cohen, Sima Bat Yosef Cohen, Gittel Cohen, Annie Coleman, Hirsch Ben Feifel Coleman, Bracha Bat Yehuda Cushing, Hasi Chava Bat Avraham Cushing, Yehuda Ben Moshe Yaakov Cushing, Saluva Bat Ziv Vavel Davidson, Tzvi Ben Shlomo Ari Davis, Jean Dexter, Robert Dexter, Esther Dobro, Meyer Dobro, David Dobro, Sebastian Philip Duckworth, Ephraim Ben Yak Edelstein, Freda Bat Yaakov Edelstein, Tevi Hirsch Ben Avraham Elkes, Adler Ferristein, Gittel Bat Rav David Ferristein, Chava Bat Yosef Field, Motel Ben Shmuel Field, Bela Bat Moshe Vefega Field, Moshe Ben Yitzchak Field, Joseph Finberg, Avraham Zelig Ben Yehuda Idol Fine, Anne Fine, Charles Fine, Chaim Meyer Ben Zadok Fine, Jacob Joah Ben Simcha Vapela Fine, Hinda Malka Fine, Nechama Bat Shalom Fine, Pela Bat Eliyahu Fine, Rebecca Fine, Simcha Ben Sadak Fine, Samuel Bear Fine, Solomon Fine, Elizabeth Fine Sutz, Marvin Fingerhut, May Fingerhut, Clara Fisher, Daniel Fisher, Garrett Fisher Avelis, Louis Fisher, Robert Fisher, Lena Fleischer, Max Fleischer, Benjamin Ben Eliyahu Franklin, Eliyahu Ben Yosef Franklin, Israel Ben Eliyahu Franklin, Mikla Bat Shmuel Fischel Franklin, Malka Bat Yisrael Franklin, Arnold Friedman, Fega Bat Yehoshua Friedman, Etta Leah Bat Yaakov Friedman, Israel Friedman, John Friedman, Nettie Friedman, Phil Friedman, Samuel Friedman, Sarah Friedman, Shirley Friedman, Marvin Ganek, Lima Lena Bat Manos Veruchel Ganzer, Mortal Geller, Yenta Geller, Dov Beryl Ben Yehuda Menachem Gershenowitz, Annie Bat Aharon Ginsburg, Zev Ben Chaim Abba Ginsburg, Jenny Globus, Raphael Ben Michael Globus, Michael Ben Yosef Globus, Mark Goldus, Moishe Elia Ben Tzvi Vehesa Goldstein, Boris Gabachevsky, Ezriel Ben Eliezer Gordon, Joseph Gordon, Mordechai Ben Vevel Gordon, Robert Gordon, Yetta Gordon, Bonnie Gracer, David Grant, Lillian Grant, Deborah Greenberg, Mordechai Greenberg, Joan Greenberg.
ורחמים, חסד ושלום, ורחמים, חסד ושלום.
Your internet connection is unstable.
Oh God, the internet went down.
Jack Gruber, Evelyn Gruber, Arya Leib Shalom Ben Yisrael Goldman, Yisrael Ben Yehuda Leib Halpern, Razel Bat Shlomo HaKohen Halpern, Joseph Ben Moshe Halter, Kalman Ben Hirsch Handelman, Maya Handelman, Rachel Bat Chaim Handelman, Sarah Handelman, Minnie Haas, Chaya Bat Tzvi Hirsch Heiten, Richard Hernandez, Fega Bat Pinchas Holof, Hanach Ben Pinchas Holof, James Holof, Mildred Holof, Pauline Hurwitz, Yeshaya Ben Moshe Hurwitz, Abraham Yaakov Ben Coleman Jacobs, Razel Bat Shlomo Kaminsky, Abraham Moshe Ben David HaKohen Kaplan, Beverly Ethel Kaplan, Diba Bat Arieleb Carmen, Elchana Carmen Chaim, Yisrael Ben Elkanah Carmen, Rachel Carmen, Gertrude Katz, Herbert Katz, Norit Bat Aharon, Betzerah Leah Katz, Diane Cottas, Jade Cottas, Chaim Kurzna, Harry Kurzna, Tzvi Tzeb Ben Chaim Kurzna, Rachel Bat Abraham Mordechai Kurzna, Sandra Kurzna, Milton Kessler, Ida Klayman, Basha Batzeli Salman Klein, Yaakov Ben Shlomo Salman Klein, Baruch Yitzchak Ben Menachem Mendel HaKohen Korman, Menachem Mendel Ben Zev HaKohen Korman, Tilly Jacobs Korman, Zev Ben Menachem Mendel HaKohen Korman, Frida Cranes, Nathan Cranes, David Ben Yehoshua Kravitz, Esther Bat Nathan Kravitz, Leza Simcha Ben Yosef Ephraim Kravitz, Lenny Kroll, Aharon Leib Ben Herschel Lander, Harris Lander, Hinda Lander, Aaron Lawson, Prema Batsev Leda, Abraham Yehoshua Ben Sisman Lehner, Chanachaya Bat Wolf Lieberman, Hinda Bat Abraham Leibovitz, Nachum Ben Abraham Leibovitz, Peter Lerner, Edward Lessinger, Rosalind Alshul Lessinger, Leah Bat Michael Leventhal, Joseph Levine, Frank Levine, Molly Levine, Mark Levine, Edel Bat Shlomo Befredel Lewis, Moshe Ben Shmuel Sarah Lewis, Marta Yehudi, Leib Bat Yaakov Zeb, Bechaya Riva Lewis, Chaya Reva bat Mendel Bataima Lewis, Jacob Zeb ben Yehuda Leib Lewis, Arthur Lewis, Bernard Libon, Shmuel ben Yisrael Lieberman, Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Loeb, Tema bat Ha Rav Avraham Yitzchak London, Aharon ben Mendel London, Zelda Leah bat Yaakov Koppel London, Mendel ben Aharon London, Wayne Lorick, Alan Lubin, Helene Lubin, Gershona bat Lufman, Sarah bat Moshe Luffman, Ida Ruth Makowski, Irving Makowski, Reuven Shimon ben Leib, Yaakov Mandel, Louis Mandel, Rose Mandel, Devorah bat Eliezer Marcus, Helen Markman, Max Markman, Reuven Marks, Moshe ben Nachum HaKohen Massel, Hyman Merwitz, Ida Merwitz, Samuel Merwitz, Chanalea bat Shmuel Yitzhak Miller, Tzvila bat Abraham Miller, Eliyahu Leib ben Shmuel Salman Halevi Miller, Estelle Sylvia Miller, Florence Miller, Ida Miller, Yitzhak ben Eliyahu Leib Halevi Miller, Joseph Miller, Lillian Miller, Morris Miller, Pesach bat Moshe Reuven Miller, Samuel Miller, Sarah Esther bat Yitzhak Miller, Tina Milner, Leora Moskovich, Natan Abraham Moskovich, Ann Moskovich, Clara Moskovich, Oscar Moskovich, Solomon Moskovich, Daniel Moto Tolchinsky, Bela bat Yitzhak Meyer, Maya ben Yitzhak Meyer, Louis Nager, Etta Nager, Goldie Nathanson, Baruch ben Mordechai Halevi Nicholas, Fagel bat Yisrael Nicholas, Max Nicholas, Mordechai ben Moshe Solomon Halevi Nicholas, Rose Nicholas, Solomon Odell, Dorothy Park, Paul Polico, Pesach Eliezer ben Leib Polico, Hilda Polico, Jonathan Power, Adriel Prieger, Murda Prieger, Natalie Rabinowitz, Samuel Rabinowitz, Kalman ben Chaim Hirsch Rand, Edel bat Mordechai Rand, Fable Moshe ben Chaim Hirsch Rand, Chaim Hirsch ben Shalom Rand, Fega Miriam bat Yaakov Rand, Gladys Reiner, Kurt Reiner, Michael Resnikow, Annie Reebok, Israel Reebok, Zisha Rimmer, Esther Rimmer.
Verachamim, chesed, v'shalom.
Paul Rittenberg, Andrew Robertson, Libya Robinson, Ephraim Rosenberg, Layla Rosenberg, Moshe Rosenberg, Jacob ben Joseph Rosenberg, Carl Rosoff, Hannah Rosoff, Irving Ross, Yonah ben Shavach Rotenberg, Etta Pearl bat Favel Rotenberg, Gladys Rotenberg, Hanan ben Shavach Rotenberg, Golda bat Shmuel Rotenberg, Shavach ben Yehuda Leib Rotenberg, Yehuda Leib ben Yonah Rotenberg, Shmuel ben Shavach Rotenberg, Harold Rotenberg, Hilda Rotenberg, Alan Roth, Maya Roth, Edward Rubenfein, Stephen Rubin, Seman Leib ben Yosef Rubin, Ina Truppen Rubin, Alan Rubenstein, John Salet, Rosa Salet, Leah bat Avraham Satz, Gerald Saul, Harry Saul, Ida Saul, Sandra Saul, Laura Schiff, Gail Schnur, Moshe ben Yosef Scholz, Mordechai ben Avraham Fischel Schreiber, Sarah Esther Schroeder, Herschel Avraham bet Yitzchak Schwartz, Shiva bet Shmuel Schwartz, Chana Schwartz, Israel Schwartz, Dorothy Shapiro, Mariam Golda bat Asher Shapiro, Levi Yitzchak ben Tanchum Levi Shapiro, Samuel Shapiro, Donna Sharp, Abraham Sherman, Cecilia Sherman, Charles Sherman, Sybil Shulman, Morris Scholes, Nima Bat Lev Yosef Scholes, Rita Schran, William Schran, Shmuel ben Aharon David Schulman, Robert Schumann, Ozer ben Shlomo Selman, Samuel Selman, Sarah bat Abraham Zelig Selman, Shoshana bat Aharon HaKohen Selman, Eliezer ben Mendel Silver, Esther Rachel bat Benjamin Silver, Sima Esther bat Asher Simons, Mordechai bet Shmuel Simons, Chaya bat Moshe Simons, Lazer Lee ben Abraham Simons, Ida Singer, David ben Ignaz Singer, Ida Sissenwine, Chaya bat Michael Slutsky, Tzvi ben Mordechai Zev Smith, Mordechai Zev ben Aryeh Leib Smith, Rachel Devora bat Simcha Smith, Chana Bela bat Abraham Solmer, Mikal ben Abraham Solmer, Rachel bat Ze'ev Solmer, Yisrael ben Mikal Solmer, Fanny Stein, Harry Stein, Irving Stepner, Ruth Stepner, Gertrude Sternberg, Irving Sternberg, Mikhail ben Leib Strominski, Mikhail Aharon ben Leif Leib Strominski, Ida Sissenwine, Paula Sussman, Abraham Saval, Samuel Teacher, Sarah Teacher, Avraham bet Yaakov Tesler, Herschel ben Avraham Tesler, Sarah bat Yaakov Tesler, Sophie Tinberg, Baila bat Ruvain Toll, Moshe ben Yosef Toll, James Troilo, Gedaliahu ben Shmiriyahu ha Levi Trupin, Yaakov Trupin, Rivka bat Avraham ha Levi Utzens, Julio Cesare Levi Volterra, Hermana Volterra, Shal ben Gad Volterra, Chava Wartenberg, Mendel Wartenberg, Yeshe ben Mendel HaKohen Wartenberg, Carol Wartenberg, Nechabat Esther Wartenberg, Stephen Edward Waters, Carl Waxman, Charles Wechterman, Sylvia Weiner, Ida Weiner, Israel Weiner, Gerald Weiner, Frieda ben Yaakov Weinstein, Rivka bat Herschel Meyer Visara Weinstein, Shmelik Yosel Weintraub, Aaron Weintraub, Antoinette Weintraub, Henry Weintraub, Beatrice Weintraub, Bert Weiser, Elizabeth Wiseman, Samuel Wiseman, David Wenzowski, Mikhail Asher Wertheimer, Rachel Leah Maida Wertheimer, Albert White, Shimon Lazer ben Eliyahu White, Eliyahu ben Moshe White, Ellen White, Inda Razel bat Shimon Leib White, Miriam bat Shavak White, Tilly White, Bela bat Yosef Winokur, Temach ben Natan Winokur, Lita Woolrich, Sydney Woolrich.
Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. Thank you, Aaron, Ed, and Sammy. Thank you for reading, for honoring those who are no longer with us in body, but are with us in spirit. Now offer a poem by Marie Howe called What the Living Do. Johnny, The kitchen sink has been clogged for days. Some utensil probably fell down there. And the Drano won't work but smells dangerous, and the crusty dishes have piled up, waiting for the plumber I still haven't called. This is the everyday we spoke of. It's winter again. The sky's a deep, headstrong blue, and the sunlight pours through the open living room windows because the heat's on too high in here and I can't turn it off. For weeks now, driving or dropping off a bag of groceries in the street, the bag breaking, I've been thinking, this is what the living do. And yesterday, hurrying along those wobbly bricks in the Cambridge sidewalk, spilling my coffee down my wrist and sleeve, I thought it again. And again later when buying a hairbrush, this is it. Parking, slamming the car door shut in the cold, what you called that yearning, what you finally gave up. We want the spring to come and the winter to pass. We want whoever to call or not call, a letter, a kiss. We want more and then more of it. But there are moments, walking, when I catch a glimpse of myself in the window glass, say the window of the corner video store, and I'm gripped by a cherishing so deep for my own blowing hair, chapped face, and unbuttoned coat that I'm speechless. And living, I remember you. We will take some time now to remember. Individually, we'll say our own Yizkor prayers found on page 1027. The custom is to say a prayer for each person that you're remembering. So while it may feel repetitive, you're making time for each individual, remembering each individual. If you grabbed an object, I invite you to hold that object while reciting the Yizkor liturgy for that person. We'll take some time now for our own personal prayers on page 1027 in Hebrew or English, or with whatever words are in your heart right now to remember your loved ones. Continue individually. In addition to our personal losses, we count those who have died over the past year because of COVID-19, which may include some of our personal losses. As of yesterday, we counted 994,499 COVID-related deaths across the globe. I offer this prayer one by Alden Solovai. God of consolation, surely you count in heaven just as we count here on earth, in shock and in sorrow, the souls sent back to you one by one, the dead from the COVID pandemic. As the ones become tens, the 10 become hundreds, the hundreds become thousands, the thousands become 10,000s, and then 100,000s. Each soul a heartbreak, each soul a life denied. God of wisdom, surely in the halls of divine justice, you are assembling the courts, calling witnesses to testify, to proclaim the compassion of some and the callousness of others. As we've struggled to cope, the souls taken too soon, whose funerals were lonely, who didn't need to die, who died alone, will tell their stories when you judge our triumphs and our failures in those hours of need. God of healing, put an end to this pandemic and all illness and disease. Bless those who stand in service to humanity. Bless those who grieve. Bless the dead, so that their souls are bound up in the bond of life eternal, and grant those still affected with disease or trauma a completed and lasted healing, one by one, until suffering ceases and we can stop counting the dead in heaven and on earth. We say amen. For those named and unnamed, Janet will recite El Mele Rachamim, praying that the souls of those departed are received in the shelter of the wings of the Shekhinah, and that they know peace, so that we too may know peace. Page 1028.
El Mele Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim, Hamsem Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, B'malot Kedoshim U'Tochorim, Kezohar Charakim Mazirim, Lenishmor Yakerenu K'doshenu, Shehachu Le'olamam, Ana Ba'al Rachamim, Hastirim B'tzil Kanafecha Le'olamim, Utror B'tror HaChaim Et Nishmatam, Adonai Hu Nachlatam, Ve'yanuchu V'shalom HaMishkavam, V'nomar Amen.
God, filled with mercy, dwelling in the heavens' heights, bring proper rest beneath the wings of your Shekhinah, amid the ranks of the holy and the pure, illuminating like the brilliance of the skies, the souls of our beloved and our blameless who went to their eternal place of rest. May you, who are the source of mercy, shelter them beneath your wings eternally, and bind their souls among the living, that they may rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. We'll conclude by saying Mourner's Kaddish. Mourner's Kaddish is a strange prayer to be about mourning. It doesn't mention death or memory or those who have gone in any way. The medieval Kabbalists, the mystics, they understood this prayer that is all about praising God to be necessary, because when those that we love have gone, God is diminished. So in reciting Kaddish, we are saying, may God be sanctified, may God be made great, because we know that God is diminished by our loss. Pray for that restoration of completeness, of God's oneness, of God's greatness, and ours. Mourner's Kaddish, page 1032. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaychon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudasha b'richu, le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. A few brief announcements. Torah study will begin at 1:30, meditative mincha at 3:30. Karen Heller is leading a walk at 5:30, which hopefully you RSVP'd for to her directly. I believe Alan Wartenberg is going to be leading a text study at that time as well. And Ne'ilah will begin at 6:30. We'll conclude our Yizkor service with those words that we began with. Ahava v'rachamim, chesed v'shalom, love and compassion, loving kindness and peace. As for this we pray.
Chesed v'shalom.